Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello everybody and welcome to iRacing's Formula Renault 3.5 series brought to you by Apex Racing TV. We had a fantastic race last week at Zandvoort, but we leave Europe for just a little bit and head to the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for round 9 of the season. The American road racing industry entered the 21st century with the debut of this track as the host of the 2012 US Grand Prix, and I'm sure we're in for some fantastic racing tonight. We have myself, Jessica Ball, and Chan Weihan in the commentary box, and Marco doing the camera work and broadcasting behind the scenes. And Chan, this is a track that is so technical, very demanding on tyres, and these drivers need to take extra caution around here tonight.
Absolutely. So, of course, this track is going to, of course, push the drivers' setups to the limit because it is going to be quite difficult for these drivers to really conserve their tires throughout the race. But of course, with these Formula Renault races, they are not exactly very long. It's just 20 laps here, which will amount to around 40 minutes as usual. I don't think it will be too much of an issue, especially for these harder Michelin tires. But I think it will still be interesting to see nonetheless as they handle their cars. So certainly there are some corners on this track that will favor downforce a little more, and those will be the places where the drivers can go a little bit easy on the tires. But I think, as we were chatting offline just now, Jessica, most of the corners on this track will kill the tires. And if we do have a look at the weather conditions, look, track temperatures are 19 Celsius, so in iRacing terms, this does mean that the drivers will have a bit of a respite because they will have a bit more grip here to racing here. So as we go into qualifying, we are riding with Edward Samborski, who is provisionally on second, and as he crosses start-finish line, clocks in faster, 1:45.52. He still remains in second place as the provisional pole goes to Tim DeLisle. Of course, great to see Tim DeLisle and Greg also, the two Aussies here on track. Great to see them here as always. They have of course been very fast throughout the season and of course in past seasons, and Tim is currently in provisional pole. This is Robert Alton across the start finish line. He will set a fast lap time of 1:45.81, which pushes him up to 5th position.
Yeah, doing good so far. The top two actually separated by 17 hundredths of a second. Tim DeLisle showing what he's made of as well. Good to have him back this week. And Eddie Samborski as well, who just missed out on the he actually got the podium last week. It was lovely to chat to him about his thoughts. This is another Marmite track. You either love it or you hate it. I'm kind of like in the middle with these type of things as well, and it has certain characteristics, including a crest of a 130 feet rise, and there's a rapid descent as well into a series of fast sweeping corners leading to another hairpin as well. There's multi-apex corners as well around this circuit, and they can have different configurations. There's configurations that are used in Indy where you could take different lines, of course, which we've seen many people exceed track limits, which is not ideal around here. But hopefully these drivers are more aware about these conditions and track to get as much into the car as they possibly can. Don't forget, no pit stops required for this Formula Renault 3.5. So if they have to pit, that would be for damage. And we saw a lot of damage last week. A lot of people getting damage between turn 2 and 3 in Zandvoort. I wonder if we're going to see some issues maybe in the S's section potentially, and potentially heading towards, I would say, turn 13 to around turn 15 is another tricky corner as well. And the only other corners I would say are not tricky is turn 19 and 20, turn 1 and 2, and then turn 11 and 12, the back straight. As qualifying is just about to end, I think most people in the pits at the moment, I think it's just Philip Sheep that is on a lap at the moment, and we'll see as he comes through to these next stages. I don't think he's going to improve too much on his lap. I'm guessing it's just a banker. It's a 1:47.407 for him, and that's the last driver who's finished a lap and is quite close this week, which is great to see. A familiar track for some of the drivers, and it's Tim DeLisle that is on pole position with Eddie Samborski in second. Paul Ilbrink, who didn't quite have the greatest of races last week. Will he return to form this week? Well, we'll find out soon. Greg Olsen in 4th, James Pinsker in 5th, Robert Talton 6th, Fabio Takamo in 7th, Yuki Shoraka in 8th, Christoph Buzzi in 9th, Brandon Roseborough in 10th. I haven't seen much of him. Nice to have him back in the league. And we got Pavel Vasilev in 11th, Marcos in 12th, Luciano Costa in 13th, Benjamin Barreto in 14th, Cal Young in 15th, Philip Sheaf in 16th, and Dennis Cornu in last place. And I have to say, pretty much the top 11 just covered by just under a second. That is absolutely crazy. So that any one of those top 11 could win this race today. And like we said, with 20 laps, anything can happen. And it's really hard to predict on who I think is going to win. Make sure you follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube, like this video and stream, and turn notifications on so you know when to check out most of our streams. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. All of those handles are Apex Racing TV. Any expectations, Shan?
Well, of course, this track will, like we shared earlier, it is going to be. It is one of those more difficult tracks for these drivers to handle. So, but I don't think we will expect any incidents. But of course, looking at how the competition has been all season long, I think it's going to be quite exciting. So, we've at some point we've hedged, who we think would win. And then sometime after we decided not to, and to let the course of the race decide for itself. So I think we will not predict who will win tonight.
No, because we predicted Paul last week and he binned it. So sorry, Paul. We jinxed you in a bad way. So that's why I'm not going to say anything this week. Anyway, the green lights are going to come on your screen very, very soon. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and the racing's about to get underway. And there's a pretty decent start from both our top 2. A few people shot back through the field a little bit. I think there's one car that didn't get the best of starts. But look at Eddie with a brilliant dive into turn 1 as well. A few people taking off the IndyCar line, as it were, but Tim DeLisle holds off his line. Paul Ilbrink in 3rd. Looks like the top 3 remain as they are. Olsen as well in 4th, Robert Talton in 5th position as well. There's only a few drivers on the grid tonight, obviously due to vacation. If someone has spun, that is Olsen actually, in a 2, I think, at the end, just before the end of the S's section, which is another common place to look. Hopefully we'll look at the replay to see what happened, but Paul Ilbrink is getting a good run on Eddie right now, heading towards the end of turn 10. That is where you can get some good slipstream and tow, so it's very important to use all the power straight away there as well. Top 3 insanely close, but it's a shame that Olsen there did not he did get the best of getaways, but it was a shame that he had a bit of a spin there. Very easy to do there.
Yep, so we do have a look at them already coming towards the final sector of the racetrack, and this is the section that I guess will take the most toll on the tires of these cars, because this is a successive sequence of hairpins. Now, of course, at sections like these, a wider field of view does help in making a corner entry. As Fabio Ducarmo makes an overtaking move, or rather had a car overtake him as he took that corner. So those two happens good overtaking zones, as long as you have a good view of the apex and you are in a good, you do place your car well. And the cars now make their way through the final 2 corners, and these are some of the higher speed corners that these drivers can kind of make their car go around. Tim DeLisle continues to take the race lead as he completes the first lap here at Circuit of the Americas, and he is being trailed by Edward Samborski and Paul Ilbrink. This is Ilbrink who tried to make I guess he was close enough to perhaps have a peek along the inside of Samborski through turn 1. As they now make their way into the SSI. Oh, this seems like something has happened between Carl Young and I think Benjamin Barreto.
Yeah, so I wonder if they were attempting a move, as we're seeing Olsen going into the pits due to his damage. I believe he's going to be in the pits for a little bit longer than intended. But yeah, Tim DeLisle pulling a little bit of a lead there over his main competitors, and we've seen in many races before where it's been the top 3 just running away but then having a battle, and then we had someone either having an incident or having something else happen to them, and it just then became 2 drivers that are battling for the win. But hopefully we can see more than 3 cars challenging for the win today, as it's quite close at the moment. We saw how close qualifying was, so anything can happen. Pinsker's looking very good on the back of Yuki right now as we head towards down the hill, heading towards turn 11 and 12. Nicely done from Mr. Pinsker there, and I think the same thing happened to Fabio DeCamo as well for P9. So that is one of the common overtaking opportunities, like we said as well. Now you're heading towards a couple of right-hander chicanes, which are so hard to do. And then once you pass those, then to be honest, the worst part of the track is over, as Paul Ilbrich is now closing the gap by just a few tenths to Eddie Sambrowski now. He is the track which I feel is more comfortable to his strength at the moment, but not going to say anything more because I know a few people are going to complain at me. But Tim Delisle is showing off the pace right now. Robert Charlton is actually matching him a tenth slower at the moment. Paul Ilbrich 3 tenths slower, and Sam Brodsky just 2 tenths slower as well. And that can make all the difference in this race. And you can see the gap starting to increase just a little bit between some of these guys. But I wonder if Robert Charlton will make the move at all. That is Benjamin Bartow's front wing completely gone. And let's see what happens as they head towards turn 1. As he tries to go for the move. I think he goes for the inside line, and someone else goes for a spin, and he's got damage. It looks like a majority of his front wing is missing actually, so that is not good. Considering he's a consistent top 5 runner in this series, that is not where he used to be, so he needs to pick up the pace, and maybe something good might happen to him. And you know, he really did not want to pit there because you don't have to, so he's got a long way to go, but at least he's still going just like Greg Olsen.
Sure, that was an unfortunate incident that resulted in I guess in them having to make their way into the pit. So we are back with front end action. So no changes in the lead, or rather the positions in the top 3 for that matter. Tim Delisle still leads the race, Sambrowski still in second, and Ilbrich still in third. Because Charlton made 2 positions gain. And we are now with Shirakawa, who's unfortunately lost a couple of positions. So this is Shirakawa, who went along the outside of the other car in front. And yeah, so that was another contact, and that was a contact between wheels, and that was enough to send Shirakawa out into the runoff, and unfortunately made him lose a couple of positions. So we're back with live pictures, and you can just see how close the battle for the lead is at this point. So, you know, of course, sometimes we do think that COTA is a difficult yet boring track, but it does produce some good racing action from the perspective of the spectators.
Yeah, so when I race around it, it's usually quite hot in some other sims as well. So that's what some of the drivers in other sims have got to contend with, of course. And then there's some corners around this track which is quite understeer in the SS section, so you've got to be very, very precise with the turning. I'm sure a lot of people will be using braking references which will help them with the turning as well, which I'm starting to get used to in other sims as well. No, there's like a braker marker board as well, because obviously there's no line to deal with as well. They just got to know the best point at the moment. So we're riding on board with Aracon in 9th position, looking to go for a move on Fabio. His toe on Fabio looks very, very strong. The slipstream is timed to perfection. So let's see what we can do. No DRS, because they can just use DRS when they want. They're going side by side as well. They're trying to leave as much space as they possibly can, going into the next chicane right here, which is a double, I would say, turn as well. And again, another precise movement as well. Fabio stays in 8th position. He's also trying to catch up to Pavel Basilev as well too. So that is very, very exciting stuff. And also we got a battle between Delisle and Eddie as well up front. Eddie closed the gap a lot to around about 5 tenths. He was around 9 tenths earlier on, and now it was closed in by just 3 tenths to 5 tenths. So Eddie just pulling up the pace a little bit as well. And Paul Ilbrich, the fastest man out of the top 3 right now. And Robert Charlton again is also matching the pace of the leaders, so it could go either way. So we'll see as they go down the hill past the SS section. No problem for the top 4 so far in terms of that, so hopefully they use their rhythm, but I'm guessing it will get harder to get used to those SS section later on in the race as it gets more physically demanding.
So yes, as you just said, the cars do still have quite a lot of grip, but of course the grip will definitely wane off after some time. So this is one of those places where it is taxing both mechanically and at the same time aero downforce does also help, or the aero grip does also help at a place like this. So Delisle, in the race lead, he does have a 6/10 of a second advantage ahead of Samborski. And last time by, Delisle turned a lap time of 1:47.27, which was faster, a fair bit faster, around the same pace as the rest of the drivers behind. So I don't see that. I don't expect that there would be too much of a breakaway, although there is one from third onwards. And that gap sits at, I guess, 1.5 seconds between Ilbrink and Talton. So that does mean that Ilbrink is kind of defending these podium sitters at this point.
Yeah, which is good. He definitely needs to do that as well, and he's got to hold that for the next 30 minutes or so, because that's how long it is to go until the race. Just a quick mention on who has gained the most places so far in this race. Pavel has gained 4 places, and Christoph has gained 3. So let's look at the replay. I believe this is from Philip Sheath as we head towards... Oh, I think he just lost it on the throttle too early on the power again, and he just went onto the grass, but I don't think there was damage there. But getting back to the point on gaining positions, pretty much Robert Tals has gained 2, Christoph's gained 3, Pavel's gained 4, and Fabio's dropped down 1, and Marcos has gained 3. Dennis Cornu has had a good start as well. He has gained 4 places, but the biggest loser is Greg Olsen, obviously, after starting high up, and now he's down in 16th place, dropping down 12 positions, which is not what he wants, because this is an official series, so you can get gain iRating here, and if you do drop positions, you do lose a bit of iRating, which is not ideal. So the more positions you gain, the better iRating you get, and the better positions you gain, obviously the more iRating you get as well. So let's see what Paul Ilbrink can do. He's got a brilliant run, but I don't think he is close enough. But I think he's just playing the waiting game at the moment. He's not going to go for the move and only do it as he sees fit. But he's looking very comfortable with his car and setup compared to last week. I think this is a track, like we said, that suits him more. But he's almost matching Eddie Sambrowski, who just set the fastest lap last lap with a 1:46.91. So one of the first drivers into the 1:46s, and Tim Delisle also matching Eddie's pace too with the 1:46.2. So I wonder if Paul Ilbrink will get up to that, but he's matching these 2 drivers, so don't be surprised if Paul can get up there soon as well.
It's a very fast pace indeed, and we've already got drivers in the well, not exactly the mid 146s, but kind of close there. Oh, that is Paul Ilbrink, who's turned a 1:46.58, which is, I guess, the
Fastest lap
throughout thus far, and that is perhaps a very good sign of his pace. So we can kind of see that he is turning the heat up on Samborski, but now we will have a look at the mid pack, which this is Fabio Ducarvo, who is fighting in 8th position. He is holding off Marcos Alacon, who is in 9th, and that gap sits at 0.4 of a second. So likewise, another good battle here around the middle of the field. We are back with Ilbrink again, and we could kind of see a bit of similarities in terms of how far apart those cars are, but right now the battle still ensues here. I think if you are adverse Samborski, you would certainly, Samborski would certainly like to secure a good result here, to kind of take this race, get as much out of this race as possible. At the same time, he's holding off pressure from Ilbrink.
Yeah, he is as well, and some people would want to gain positions as quickly as possible, but most people would like to do it towards the end, but it may be too little too late as well. So we're on lap 7, and still there's plenty of opportunities to either make mistakes or gain to everyone's advantage, and I have to say the top 2 are just running away with it right now. I think pretty much the top 3 are running away with it. Robert Talton, who's had excellent pace throughout this race, is not as gaining as I would have thought on everybody else as well, which may help the drivers around him. And we got a huge train from, I would say, Pavel Vazalev to, I would say, Fabio Tacamo, Alcon, and we've got Roseborough as well in that train. Now we got another train from Yuki, Young Cornu, and Philip Sheep as well and then everybody else is just running their own little race or just trying to chase everyone else to try and gain a lot of positions too. So not many people making mistakes in the middle half of the race so far, which is what we like to see as well. Obviously Zandvoort is a bit more understeery than the likes of COTA that we go into today, which can be a bit trickier on the driver's setup as well. And you know, there's some corners which are a lot suited to everyone's driving styles more than anything, and there's a lot more overtakes. So that means qualifying wasn't as important as last week. Qualifying was definitely a test on where people would be in the race if they did not make any mistakes, of course. But USA, you can make the overtake and gain quite a few positions, as proven by a few people in this race. For example, the likes of Pavel Vasilid, for example, he's gained 4 places. So it's shown that you can overtake around it. The top 2 still not budging, but will that give room for Paul Ilbridge to get up into 2nd place? Or will he just be happy with the podium despite the bad luck he's been having at the moment? Because the bad luck he's been getting absolutely kills me, and it kills everybody else watching, I'd say, who are Paul Ilbrink fans. But he's doing well so far. And we got a move from Cal Young on, I believe, Yuki Shiraka. That's it, which is very, very tight, heading towards 15 and 16. One of the hardest corners on the track, trying to get the switch back as they possibly can. Let's see who has the better line. Carl Young looks like he's on the backhand at the moment, and it looks like Yuki has the upper hand, which he does. So Yuki stays in 12th position, and they're a little bit further away than everybody else. But you can see Dennis Cornu at the corner of their eye as well, ready to pounce if any of those two make a mistake. We're seeing, I think, everybody from, I would say, P1 to P10, I would say, in the 147s, 146, and everybody else downwards from 11 is in the 149s, 148s. Young looks like he was going to go for a move again. Oh, there was a little bit of contact there. Almost an unsafe rejoin. This could have been Dennis's opportunity, but Yuki, that was very, very close. Now, this S section, you can't get wrong at all. So if I were you, do not make a move there unless you absolutely have to. So that's why Cal Young is definitely holding off there. My mind almost getting me a heart attack there as I head towards 7 and 8. Right on the gearbox of Yuki then. So Cal Young is not giving up without a fight as we head towards the next back straight very, very soon. Up the hill they go. And Cal is just going to see there's plenty of space again. He's going to get a nice toe. We can see the back of him right now. But I wonder if he's a little too further back to make the move. So maybe next lap or in a few corners time, maybe in a turn 15 and 16 section is when they're going to make the move. Nope. Cal was thinking about it, but he realised that, nah, that wouldn't have not worked. And you could try here. You can go for me there. Someone had just locked up there, but this is going to be a great battle between these two throughout the race. Let's hope they do not make it into contact at the moment. Pavel is managing staying tight in 7th position, defending off Fabio De Carmo as well. So battles happening everywhere. And Paul Ilbrink again turning the fastest lap of the race. He is flying.
So stick on with this race battle for the time being, because this looks very feisty. So Shirakawa is fending Young very nicely there. And this is a battle for P12. Look, the great thing with this series is that you have good battles going on throughout the field. This is Young going alongside the inside of the Japanese driver, and is he going to make that work? He holds off and he makes the move work, a long turn one, and he's found himself one position up, and that is him making a successful overtaking move. So that was brilliant driving by both drivers to make that move work safely. But Shirakawa seems to, not be done with this yet. He does want that position back, as we kind of see that happening. We're back with the front end, and this is, well, a drag race between Paul Ilbrink and Edward Zambrowski. Ilbrink goes along the inside of that corner, nails that very well, almost coming into contact there, the wing-to-wing, wheel-to-wheel in fact. And then now into the hairpin section, where it is all about trying to get your car in the best position possible. And let's have a look at the replay.
So I think this is Paul Ilbrink on Eddie Zambrowski, I believe, as we head towards, I need to remember what turn it is, turn 12. is where Paul Ilbrigg successfully made the move there. Excellent job from him, and he is the fastest guy on track right now, so he had to take advantage of that, and he's already catching up to our race leader of Tim Delisle, who's already won this season and in previous seasons in Formula Renault 3.5 as well, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with that performance so far. Tim Delisle saying a personal best of a 1:46.6, which is great to see. Not quite matching the pace of Paul Ilbrigg yet, but we'll see. But let's look from Eddie's perspective of the move that Paul made heading towards turn 12. So he's on the right-hand side a little bit. And does he try and defend? Well, he gives Paul quite a bit of space, actually. And he did not challenge too much. So I think, obviously, since Paul was faster, he got the move done. So Paul up into second place. Can he catch up to Tim Delisle in the last 9 laps of this race? And we're already around 20 minutes gone of this race, and the time does fly by when you're having fun. And we're still having more battles between, I would say, 2 other cars in the midfield. We've got Brandon Roseborough and Marcos Aracon for 9th position. And they just passed the hairpin there as well. I'm going to see Fabio has been looking so impressive, even though we're usually expecting him to be at near the front. He's just been having so much fun in the midfield as well. Probably what we would have expected higher, but at least he's not giving up without a fight. Past turn 12 then. Unfortunately, Marcos did not get the move done as he would intended so far. And we've only got a smaller grid tonight. We only got 17 drivers, but there's definitely still giving piece of the action at the moment. Benjamin Bartow still racing, even though he had damage earlier on, and so is Greg Olsen. So at least if anything can happen, there still could be other people that can get damage that will tire them out the race. So they can score quite a bit of iRating there because of it. So we can see the gap to Paul Ilbrigg and Tim Delisle closing into almost a second. That is insane from Paul. Paul was faster than Tim Delisle in sector 4 by 1/10 of a second, and just past sector 1 by 6/100ths of a second. So Paul is eating in to Tim Delisle's time. This is getting very, very close indeed. I wonder what Paul will be thinking right now. He just got to keep calm, have some fun, and then he should be on for a good result at the end of this.
So certainly Delisle where he is most comfortable. So I think he was in fact one of the contenders, one of the front runners of the Formula Renault 3.5 series in past seasons, and I think it's back where he would feel the most comfortable, the most familiar, which is still in the race lead. He has been in the race lead all race long, and that hasn't changed. What has changed is Ilbrigg coming up to second, and Edward Zaborski finding himself in third position. So I think the situation here is a little bit more spread out at this point. So the battles have now gone towards where the mid-pack is. This is Marcos Aracon, who is in that nicely presented side-by-side contact there. So this was a replay. So that was a contact between a side pod and the front left wheel of Aracon. But Aracon does take advantage of that to try to make an overtaking move work, because he had the position advantage at the previous hairpin, but probably did not at this point, and that would result in, I think that is Ducarmo. Yes, this is Ducarmo. He still holds on to 8th position, and he still fends his position against Aracon and also Roseborough in 10th position.
Yep, indeed. Paul Ilbrigg just keeps setting amazing lap times. At this rate, he's going to get to a situation where he's almost beating the times that we set in qualifying. It's incredible what Paul Ilbrigg's pace is right now up front. I mean, he's 9/10 now behind Tim Delisle, a second now, but I think it's a question of when he's going to make the move. But do not become complacent, Paul, no matter what you do, because there's still plenty of laps of this race still to go. So he's, I think, taking every lap as if it's his last lap and just giving it his all, I would think. That's how I would treat certain moments of the race then as well. So we'll see, we'll compare again Paul Ilbrigg's time later on, but we're seeing, I think, Roseborough, who is right behind Aracon for 9th position. Once again, the train is still ever increasing for the midfield. This is what we like to see in US, I think, because I think we're going to US in Formula 1. Maybe it's a double header as well, and we always see like a midfield train developing as well. for the points paying positions, as it were, in F1, but you do get points in the championship in the official series. In iRacing is obviously completely different to normal real-life racing. In Formula Renault 3.5, I think you call it Formula Alpine now, so obviously Renault is now Alpine, but on iRacing it's still called Formula Renault, of course, because it'll be hard to call it Formula Alpine when it's not Formula Alpine. Yet, Paul Ilbrink 2 tenths quicker than Tim Delisle in Sector 3. That is just incredible. I think he's probably going to be kicking himself if he does not get the overtake on Tim Delisle soon. 2 tenths gain on lap 12 and 1 tenth gain on lap 13. You can see the pace that Paul Ilbrink has put in right now. So the gap was 1.1, now it is 8 tenths per second. Now it's 7 tenths. He is closing in. Let's see what Paul Ilbrink can do. And I'm sure a lot of people will be very, very nervous, because this is the point of the race where sometimes he's under huge pressure, but I think he's liking the hot climate, and we'll see what he could do. I think he'll probably go for the move around about lap 17 or 18, I would say, because if it's lap 19 or 20, it will be too late. It will definitely be too late. But also another battle, Fabio as well is also under pressure from Aracon once again. Fabio is doing very, very well to try and defend off his nearest rival. So plenty of action still to come, and not that long to go until the end of the race.
Yep, so of course we do have 6 laps to go, which is, well, at least at Circuit of the Americas, it's still quite a fair amount of time for any race strategies to be committed to. So a little bit loose did Ilbrink go over that curve there. But of course, you know, open wheel cars probably up Ilbrink's alley. Is probably his favorite genre of racing, because he did race the Formula 1 cars back in the day, and he's now racing this. So the gap between P1 and 2 at this point sits at 7 tenths of a second. We could see that reduce over time. Hopefully, if it does, it would probably mean that yeah, we do have a look at the differences in terms of lap time. It has been such that Ilbrink's lap time has been trending down in comparison to Delisle's lap time, I think. Or is it the other way around?
I've just noticed that actually, because he was about 7 or 6 tenths behind Tim Delisle a lap ago, but now he's dropped down to 8, 9 tenths. So I think Tim Delisle is seeing Paul Ilbrink just pushing a little bit more, and he's thinking, hang on, you're not going to have that race when I am. So I think it's a nice rivalry, as it were, and this takes us back to 2019 when there was a rivalry between Tim Delisle and Paul Ilbrink in iRacing Formula 3.52. So it's nice to have that sort of rivalry back in this series, and I just hope it continues race after race as we head to the final stages of this championship. I can't believe we're almost at the end already. We have already done 8 races. We're on round 9, and we've still got, after this run, 3 more rounds to go, which is an incredible race. I think we go to, not in no particular order, I think we go to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, the historic version, then probably Spa, and then I know the final round is definitely in Brazil, which always is a great season finale track for any motor series as well. I don't know why Formula 1 does not have Brazil as the finale. It should do, but it doesn't, and I think they should take a leaf off of iRacing's book. But anyway, I think Paul Ilbrink's just keeping it steady at the moment, because he knows that if he pushes too much now, then he's probably going to end up losing quite a bit of downforce to the car in front if he closes in a little bit because of the dirty air. So I think Tim Delisle is definitely on the upper hand at the moment. He's 2 tenths quicker than Paul Ilbrink this lap. So I think Paul Ilbrink's just keeping it steady. What about Eddie though? Eddie's around about a second behind Paul Ilbrink, so it's not over for Eddie, but the rest of the field are just hanging in there. Robert Charlton is having a race of his own, so is James Pinsker. Body doing quite well as well in 6th place, the Frenchman, who is also running his little battle as well. So I'm interested to see different names near the front of the field that you possibly not expected to see, but it's a shame that obviously we had like Benjamin that binned it earlier on as well, that was used to being in the top 5. But let's look at the replay. I'm just trying to see who that was. I believe that was Pinsker. heading towards the final corner. Did he send himself to a spin? Yes, he bombed by himself. A very weird place to spin, actually. So he lost a bit of time to Robert Talton. That was why Robert Talton had a huge gap there to Pinsker. And Paul Ilbrink has suddenly realised that Tim Delisle was putting some brilliant lap time, so he's trying to respond to him for that. It was about 6/10 a moment ago, but I think he lost a bit of time in the second and third sector, so now he's back up, staying in second. The time is fluctuating though, but we're seeing Marcos as well, who's under pressure from Brandon. Brandon's doing very well, I would say. 147.1 compared to Marcos 147.2. So I am very, very intrigued to see if Brandon can be very brave, go for the move in probably the trickiest of corners, or will he wait until the last moment like the other drivers? We don't have long to go until the end of the race. And again, Tim Delisle at the front, slightly faster. So it's interesting to see the consistency for the top three. I just can't call it at this stage.
Yeah, it would seem that I think at this point Tim Delisle has been able to, not by much, but by quite a margin, he's increased his added 0.2 of a second of an additional gap ahead of Paul Ilbrink. So that means that he's now almost a second ahead of Ilbrink. But of course right now this is Samborski, who is a second behind Ilbrink, and I think probably the differences would probably be that the drivers are now a little bit more spaced out, so it is a bit difficult for overtaking moves to be made at this point. So we do have only 3 laps to go, or 4 laps to go around it, depending on when the white flag comes out. And well, this is probably going to play in the favor of Delisle because of the way things are. And we're now going to have a look at a replay with Philip Schiff. So this is Schiff making his way around the hairpin, and let's see what happens. Oh, that was probably along the exit of the corner. He's probably gone a bit hard on the loud pedal, and that kind of sent his car around.
Yeah, again, a very ill place to do it, but I think apart from obviously Greg Olsen and Benjamin Barateau, we haven't seen that major mistake from anyone getting damaged, so everyone else is keeping it clean pretty much at the moment. But Philip Schiff just had a unfortunate moment there, and that didn't really help him so much. And we've got a really helpful track map for just a brief moment as well, but obviously I've got it on my screen as well, and you can see the top 4 ever so close. And then we got a battle between P6 and 10. Now we got one between P11 to 13, and there's just everybody else basically as well. So Marcos, I've just been looking at Marcos's lap times on the live time, and 147.07 was his last lap. Now he's gone 2 tenths quicker, 146.8. So Marcos is quicker than Brandon at the moment, and Fabio. So this is crunch time for Marcos Aragon, which is easier said than done, I have to say, for the, I can't remember what nationality he is from, but Marcos is doing very well representing his country, whereas Fabio, the Brazilian, this track is not that far from Brazil, of course, so he definitely wants to make an impression. And still only a few laps to go until these 2 drivers can bring it home. But I'm sure Paul Ilbrink will be happy with any result today, as all Paul Ilbrink goes side by side, and Tim Delisle has gone wide a little bit in the XF turn 12, and I think Paul Ilbrink just said, thank you very much. I would say he'll take P2, but he's on and gone for the race lead. How cool is that? I'm sure the chat would be screaming by now. Let's see what happens to Tim Delisle heading towards turn 12. Was he? I think he just was too late on turning, and that's what went him a little bit wider. We're seeing an on-board shot from his right-hand side. That was very, very close, and we're seeing Paul Ilbrink taking his normal line, and he executed that superbly. But the gap is still 7 tenths, 6 tenths still, so it is not over yet for these 2. And oh, it looked like Tim Delisle was going to go for the move there, but not quite close enough. Bring it on between these 2. I believe this is James Pinsker again. Went as he... Oh, that was a much more awful spin this time. We're seeing more spins at the moment. I think Christoph almost got caught by James Pinsker's spin, but luckily he avoided that. And we're on lap 19 of 20. And Paul Ilbrink's just got to make sure he increases the gap to make sure he holds on to the race win. Don't forget, he had an awful race after his crash last week. Could this be redemption week for him? I'm not going to say too much on him this week, so I'm worried he's going to do something else, but he's just got to bring it home, keep the drivers behind around him, and the race win is his. But we know how Tim DeLisle could race. He is a quick driver as well, so let's see if Paul could do it. He's pumping in the lap times as well. I'm very impressed that he is taking the pressure into his own hands and performing very, very well. I think he's liking the pressure right now.
Yep, so this was very much a last-ditch attempt in some ways, which went in the favor of Ilbrink. So he is probably going to be very content with the sequence of events that certainly played in his favor. So it does come around the final corner, and this should mean that the white flag, yes, white flag is out, and this is, we've got 1 lap left here at Circuit of the Americas, and of course Tim DeLisle is 0.8 of a second behind Ilbrink. So 1 last lap for magic to happen, if it is going to happen.
Yes, it is magic, and you definitely know as well. Paul has never put a foot wrong the whole race. Neither has Tim DeLisle before he went wide a few laps ago. Eddie Sambrowski has never put a foot wrong as well. The top 3 being superb, as well as Robert Tarleton, who unfortunately who's gonna miss out, but he could win on his day as well. There's so many reactions in the chat that they are absolutely delighted on how Paul is performing so far in this race, and he just got to keep the consistent laps up as they head past into turn 11 now as they go through this back straight. Tim DeLisle's going to get some toe from him as well, so Paul Ilbrink's going to try and get rid of the slipstream from the cars behind, which he's doing ever so nicely. Again, this is a normal overtaking spot that you do see in open wheeler racing, and we will see then Paul Ilbrink just wanting this lap to end, as it were. He's had bad luck all season, as I was alluding to earlier on, and he doesn't want things to go sour. And Tim DeLisle knows that the race win could still be his if he tries to possibly go for a very risky move. So, heading towards the final few corners, towards turn 19 and turn 20. This is going to be make or break between both of these drivers, but after the bad luck he has had, Paul Ilbrink wins in COTA finally. He definitely deserves this. His first win of the season, I believe. DeLisle in second, Eddie in third, Robert Tarleton in fourth. We've got a battle between Fabio and Marco for P8, but it looks like Fabio is just about going to hold on to P8. We've got Buzzy in 5th, James Pinsker in 6th position, Vasilev in 7th, Fabio in 8th, Marco in 9th, and we've got Roseborough in 10th, and we got Costa in 12th, Young in 12th, Yuki in 13th, Dennis Cornu in 14th, Chief in 15th, and we're waiting for Greg and Barata. I believe all 17 runners would finish the race, and yes, you're not seeing things. Paul Ilbrink is a race winner this season. I'm lost for words. I'm sure Chan is lost for words too.
Yeah, it's so great that Paul Ilbrink has managed to win this season. Certainly, I think I can now. I think I'm now so content that look. I used to watch Paul Ilbrink race in the World Championship Series back in like 2014, and now he's won again. It's so good.
Very, very good for him. I can't wait to see him in the interview booth as well. I'm sure he'll be lost for words too. So we'll get your results up on your screen. And I believe no one was a lap down this week, which is great to see. So everyone was very, very close. So we have Paul Ilbrink, who wins by only 0.4 per second from Tim DeLisle in second, Eddie in third. Another podium for him. That's going to help him his championship hopes. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Robert Tarleton in 4th, Christophe Buzzy in 5th, James Pinsker in 6th, Pavel Vasilev in 7th, Fabio Dacama in 8th, Marcos in 9th, Brandon in 10th, then we have Luciano, Cal, Yuki Shuraka, Dennis Cornu, Philip Sheaf, Greg Olsen, and then finally our last runner who's crossed the checker flag, Benjamin Baratero. We're now going to have our top 3 hopefully in the interview booth, and I'm going to let you have Paul Ilbrink because I know you wanted to be interviewing him for so long. So Chan, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much. So, yeah, we do have Paul Ilbrink. Wow, Paul, massive congratulations for winning this Circuit of the Americas. I think we're really excited that you've managed to take the race win here. Certainly great job by everyone else in the race as well, but massive congratulations to yourself. So look, I think noticing that you began from 3rd position, and I guess from our perspective it would seem that you were biding your time and finding the right opportunity to make your moves work, and that was the case, and that kind of resulted in a favorable race outcome. So could you please share with us the race from your perspective?
Yeah, thanks. You recapped it pretty well, I think. Turns out 3rd time is charm, and it's better to not qualify on pole, because that's apparently bad luck. But yeah, I started 3rd. I just followed Ed, etc. I wasn't really able to get a proper move anyway early on, and as we were gapping Robert a little bit, I just sat there and hoped for the gap to grow, which did happen. And then at some point, Eddie had a mistake out of the hairpin coming onto the back straight. So I thought he would lose the draft to Tim anyway. So I immediately went for the DRS myself, overtook Eddie, and then spent the rest of the race trying to catch up with Tim again, which happened in the end. And yeah, I was using a lot of DRS to stay ahead, away from Eddie, and trying to stay behind Tim, etc. as well. So at the end, I only had 1 DRS left for the final lap, but then Tim locked up at the end of the back straight, which gave me the lead, and then I used that 1 DRS with 2 laps to go. So the last lap, the gap was big enough, but then he's closing in so quickly, so you're still kind of worried and you don't want to make a mistake. But luckily all went fine, and I got my win again.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, certainly, coming to a track like Circuit of the Americas, drivers would expect that this track is going to be quite intense on tires, and I think as a result, the setup would probably be, I guess, suited towards that. So, would you find that there would be any differences, I guess, preparing your car and the way you drive here as compared to other tracks?
Not really. I switched to an old setup from a season or 2 ago, 3 races ago, and all of a sudden the racing went great again. So I haven't really changed much from that. I've raced it at pretty much every track with very minor changes in between. So yeah, it suits my car at least. So I don't change a whole lot and just enjoy the driving, which seems to go well.
That's really great to hear. So yeah, before we do let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Sure, my teammates at Radicals Online and our partners and sponsors: Armor Centrum, Cranfield Simulation, Track Racer, Joe Rule Timing, Turn Racing, MOTF Podcast, Pixel Dust, and Six Sideways. And you guys for doing a nice podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and of course, best of luck to yourself for the remainder of the season.
Thank you.
Yep. So Jessica, that was Paul Ilbrink. Great to see him finally take his race win this season. I think we would have Tim Delisle next.
Yeah, we will have Tim Delisle in the commentary booth, as he just missed out on the win today, but he definitely brought out a valiant fight between yourself and Paul Ilbrink. Congratulations on 2nd place. Nice to have you back on the track. It was a great fight between you two, which has been a long time coming, since 2019, I believe, as well. But how did the race go from your perspective? Because you had the lead for so long, and you tried to hold off Paul, but you made a slight mistake in the final few laps. Tell us how the race went from your perspective.
Yeah, everything was going so well. Qualifying, it wasn't a perfect lap, but it was pretty good. And it was just enough to nab pole from Eddie, who I knew we had a race yesterday, and he was quicker than me. And so I knew that, he'd be really trying to get me on the start there. And we actually made contact. It didn't register as even a 0x, but I felt something. But, that was all fine. And then, it was just playing the game of knowing when to use DRS to defend from the lead and when to save it for the last few laps. And then he got into it with Paul, who, had been sticking to him like glue. Eddie was in the sandwich for however many laps it was. And I thought, when I saw them fighting in my mirrors, I thought that was my chance to break away. But Paul was just too strong. As soon as he passed Eddie, he had just a mammoth sector to instantly reel me back into within the slipstream range. And even with that, I thought I had him, because with the dirty air, I was able to pull just enough in the first sector through the S's to make it not comfortable, but it would be very hard for him to pass down the back straight without a mistake. And I was actually just thinking that in my head, going down that back straight as I made a mistake. I've a few times practicing during the week, I've locked up on the curb on the outside there into the hairpin. So I was very conscious not to use that curb to brake during the race. And I thought I might have done it here, but going back and looking, no, it was just like 3 degrees of steering angle. And that was just enough to lock the front tires. And once you lock up there, there's nothing you can do to stop it. You just have to get off the brakes and reapply, and then it just keeps locking up. And so Paul got through, and from that point on, there was nothing I could do. He was too quick. He's always been really quick around here, so I knew once I saw him get Ed, I thought I could break away, but I knew it was going to be really hard, and just the pressure was too much, and I caved.
Yeah, and sometimes this track is definitely takes a beating on the tyres as well, and it was good you hold on to Paul when it lasted, but it was a great battle between you two as well. We head to the next track next week. How confident are you? Are you going to be racing again next week? If so, what are your thoughts on the track?
Is it Spa?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I should know, but I don't. Maybe Chan can help me.
So I think Marco would have.
Oh yeah, that was it. It's going to be
okay.
Spain. I forgot about that. I should have known. I said it earlier. My brain is gone haywire. But it is Spain Historic next week.
Yeah. So actually, it's kind of the opposite story between Barcelona and Spa for me. Spa, I don't like racing because the draft is worth like 1.2 seconds a lap. There's no point racing there. And Barcelona, the dirty air is far too strong, so there's no point racing there because you can't overtake either. I don't know, that's just me being down in the dumps after ruining what should have been a win. But I think I can't deal with the stress anymore. I'm getting too old, so I think I'll let the other guys duke it out for the championship and enjoy watching from probably my bed, get a sleep in for once.
Fair enough, that makes sense. And you want to have some fun, and you showed us that you had some fun today. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to on the stream?
Yeah, first to Paul. He's it's a bit of a Kinney situation. He's had the pace, but just it's been a while since he's put it all together and got the win. And Kimmy did it at COTA, and Paul's done it as well. So yeah, congrats to him. Thoroughly deserved. Didn't put a foot wrong all race, and managed to pressure me into the mistake. And Eddie as well. It's really tough being in a sandwich like he was for so long, and to not make any mistakes. So yeah, just all around, I think we all drove really well today. So congrats to them. Unlucky to Greg, my fellow PSR teammate, who I think had some side pod damage going through the runoff on lap 1, and that ended his race there. But that sucks to see. But congrats to the podium. Thanks to you guys for the coverage.
Thank you. And another podium for you, Tim, and best of luck for whenever we see you next. Congratulations, P2 for Tim Delisle. Well done.
Thanks. See ya.
And I do believe in the waiting room, if I just scroll down, I do believe, do we have P3 of Eddie? I believe, yes, we do. And I'm going to hand it over. We're going to hand over to Chan for our final interviewer of Eddie. So Eddie for P3.
Absolutely. So Eddie, great to see you once again. You came home in P3 because you did start from P2 as well. So I think certainly I think the race was quite interesting from our perspective. We did see that the battling up top at least was quite stable throughout the race. There weren't too many position changes, but I think you guys all held your ground very well there. Edward, so could you share with us the race from your perspective?
It was going really well. Obviously until lap 10, I just got a little too eager on the throttle, and that gave up way. You just can't do that when you have a massive straightaway in front of you. So that enabled Paul, they basically gave him a golden opportunity for the overtake, and I was pretty much helpless just because of between the draft and everything else. And he just got by, and then I spent the rest of the race trying to really find an extra 10th or two, and I was just hurting myself by doing that. I started overdriving, being a little too aggressive, started picking up off tracks. So, if I could do it again, I would have liked to have been a lot closer to Tim. I was in a great position. I had a couple more DRS available to me. I was holding pace right about 3/4 of a second, keeping the car under me, keeping the tires under me, and just that's all it takes, man, is one little misstep, and that's it. The guys are all really good at the top of this field. You just can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does sound like it. Certainly, I do understand that it was a certainly very challenging race from the perspective of the drivers. So I think a similar question that I did ask Paul earlier on was, I guess coming to a track like this, it is very demanding on your tires. So do you think that kind of affected the way you guys would drive usually as compared to other places, I guess, throughout the rest of the calendar?
Absolutely. Because you have so many corners followed by, how do I put this, corner complexes where you have, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 corners in a row. You can't afford to overheat the tires at all anywhere on the lap, because if you lose, let's say you did what I did going down the straightaway, and I get the rears hot. Now, for that following sector, the car is not really compliant to what you're trying to do. So you add that with the dirty air, and you just can't keep up. You just lose time. And once you're experienced with the car, you know that you're just going to lose time, and you just kind of accept it and try do your best you can to, minimize future mistakes and try and be just a little bit better than the guy in front to get caught back up. I mean, you've seen what happened, one little mistake, and that lap 10 is over a second and a half slower than the other laps.
Sure, and that was kind of enough to unfortunately result in kind of a snowball effect, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's just it, because you take the tires out of their window, and now they're hot, and now you've degraded them twice as fast as what you would usually do, so now you just, it's like a double negative. You just, there's nothing you can do. You just put yourself in a worse position, and that's it. You got to adapt and hope for the best.
Right. Thanks for sharing with us those insights. So before we do let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to thank Apex for you guys, Apex Racing TV, for doing the broadcast, set up schools, all that fun stuff. I'd like to thank the team for supporting me as always, and iRacing for keeping us going here, and thank the donators and everyone who voted on the schedule. We'll be finalizing that soon, and that'll be it.
All right, thank you so much, Eddie. So that was Eddie, who came home in third position. Of course, we do wish him the best of luck for the rest of the season as well, Jessica.
There we go then. So unfortunately, that's all we got time for today's stream. And before we head off, we will give a quick mention to our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, which will improve your on-track performance with data pack setups and track guides, as well as some data analysis software. as well as Apex Racing Academy, which also has data packs, setups and track guides too, and integrated with Virtual Racing School. And finally, our last sponsor, SDK Gaming, which provides overlays to commentary teams, cameras, focus drive, and lots more, as well as their virtual live HUDs to iRacing, timing towers, and so on. You can get a 14-day free trial as well on the website if you want to try it out for yourself for free. And then if you like it, then you could get a monthly subscription. So next week, we head to Catalonia for the historic version of the track, which I would say is a lot different compared to the one we see today. So I think it's going to provide a huge challenge for the drivers. So for myself, Jessica Ball and Chan Wei Han in the commentary box, and Marco doing the lovely cameras and broadcasting behind the scenes, we will see you next week for the 10th round of the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Have a good evening, everybody, and goodbye.